Welcome to Easy Late English. Now here we have a video for teachers teaching students of mediocre academic brilliance. Academically, those who might be with mediocre, but do not think that they are less intelligent. They are sometimes even more intelligent than the so-called brilliant students. But academically, they might be having a mediocre score, or they might not be interested. So how to teach them simple techniques to develop confidence and attention. Simple techniques to develop confidence and attention when you are teaching the so-called mediocre students. Now, this is based on my experience with a girl, and it worked wonders, right? It really worked wonders, and that's why we are sharing this set of techniques, which is actually my personal experience with teachers, because all the teachers have this problem. Now, first of all, do not start with a formal technical definition. In general, do not start with formal technical definition. It means nothing to the child. A formal technical definition, a preposition is a word which is put before a noun or pronoun. Now, this is a meaningless thing. You're putting a preposition before a noun or a noun equivalent to denote in what relation that was. This is a meaningless thing. So do not start with a formal technical definition. It only lowers the confidence. Even if you state the formal definition, do not emphasize on their repeating it. Never ask them to repeat. Don't ask them to repeat. A noun is the name of a person, place, or thing. Don't ask them to repeat, because concepts should be based on basic understanding. Do not depend on rote memory. Repeating meaningless words only heightens the agony. You make the child more depressed because the child doesn't know what he is repeating. It only creates an aversion. So do not start with any formal technical definition, which is going to be absolutely nonsense for the child. For instance, we have given here one example. The logarithm of a number with respect to a given base is the index of power to which the base must be raised to obtain the number. This is absolutely meaningless for a beginner. Even for an intelligent child, it's meaningless, and for a mediocre student, it's absolutely rubbish. Now, probably you can omit this with respect to a given base. The logarithm of a number is the index of power. Maybe it is a bit shorter, but still it is meaningless. The logarithm with respect to a given base. So whatever, even if you shorten the definition, it is meaningless. So what do? We have to devise a different approach instead of starting with a meaningless definition, which anyway, this definition is not going to come in the exam. So here we have one example. We have shown a father and a child, right? Here I have shown a father and a child. And, we are saying that if you start with this person, supposing this is A and this is B, when you start with A, you say A is the father of B. And when you start with B, you say B is a son of A. So A is a father of B and B is a son of A. Both mean the same thing, but it depends from where you start. If you start with A, the relationship is father of the son. If you start with B, then you say son of Mr. A. The same concept can be used here also. 5 square is 25. Now emphasize that this is the base and this is the power. 5 square is 25. So what will happen if you say the reverse? you can say 2 is the power to get 25 to the base 5. And this is the way we introduce a log in terms of exponent. Another example, I was teaching set intersection to a so-called mediocre student, a class 9 girl. A is 1, 2, B equal to 2, 3. Now this color was deliberately put. I made it a different color because we were teaching online. So we put the color in order that the attention is drawn to it. It was differently colored. What is present in both A and B? What is present here and also here? The same thing is present in both. The child will say 2, you say the element 2. And the child will probably say that 2 or number 2, you can say element 2. What are the different ways to state that 2 is present in both? How can you say that? 2 is common. Yeah, that's allowed. 2 is occurring in A as well as in B. Very good. There's an exercise in grammar. 2 is found in A and 2 is found in B also. Yeah. 2 belongs to A and also belongs to B. I give more examples. Say who can play both the games, what names belong to both the lists, and now you have got the technical term intersection. Now you get the intersection rule or the intersection concept. Relate to something in their daily life. Now here I was teaching acids to a class 7 student. She was finding it difficult to remember curd. That curd contains lactic acid. She was remembering vinegar, she was remembering lemon, citric acid, all the thing, oxalic acid, everything, but somehow she was getting confused with curd and lactic acid. So I asked her, have you heard of any word starting with lacto? And she said, lactogen baby food. And what is it? What is lactogen baby food? She replied, milk. Then we talked a little bit where she had seen it, for whom it was, how old her baby sibling was. And such small talks help build confidence and relieve stress. And then we derived lacto means milk, lactogen means milk, so lacto means milk. And then lactose means milk sugar. Now lactic acid means acid present in the milk product curd. She was from South, so we also brought out that curd is sour. So we concluded from logically what? From the lactogen which she has seen in her house being fed to her baby sibling. And now because it is relating to something in the student's life, now the student can remember lacto means milk and lactic acid means the acid present in milk. So you can give extra examples. So relate to something in their daily life or surrounding. Another similar case when I was teaching a boy about reeling of cocoons. He was actually unable to understand the meaning of reeling. So I asked, do you fly kites? Yes, that was the answer. We talked a little about kite flying and then I showed him this picture. This is the picture, the reel when you fly kite. We talked about winding and unwinding of the string and I reinforced with this picture. And then we gave the idea of unwinding or reeling of a cocoon. Now here use imagery, the funnier the better. It's better if you use the funniest imagery. The above images were used to illustrate contact and non-contact forces. See here, non-contact force. The animal is not even touching the person, but the person is running. Non-contact force, a force which is an invisible force, the fear which is causing the person to run. And here you have a contact force. Here you have contact force. Actually, the person is hitting. Here you have a non-contact force. What is the force? Which is making the person run at full speed. A non-contact force. So, this may not be literal, but actually these are the imagery which we use to make them understand. A lion even from a distance scares you, where the boy has to really hit you. So, this is the difference, contact and non-contact. The basic concept can be reinforced with imagery. The thought-provoking question without technical jargon. Now, which distance will increase after 10 minutes? This was used to develop concept of motion and relative motion. See, this distance is not going to increase. The distance between the boy and the girl, between the dog and the girl, this distance will not increase, but this distance will increase. Why? Here, because both the dog and the girl are moving and the distance remains constant, no relative motion. From their house, from where they started, the distance is increasing. That is the concept of relative motion and relative rest. So, although they are in motion, but relative motion with respect to house, but the relative motion of dog with respect to the girl is 0 because the distance remains constant. A humorous poser for a class 8 girl to explain relative rest and motion. Now, the policeman says, now here is a policeman. The policeman says that the thieves escaped and went out of reach in an hour. And the thieves are saying, no, this thief did not move. He's saying he never moved. He was sitting next to me. He's also saying, no, I did not move. I was sitting next to him. Now who is lying? Both are telling the truth. This thief did not move in relation to this thief. A did not move in relation to B. But in respect of the policeman, they have gone out of reach. So they are moving in relation to the policeman, but in relation to each other, they are not moving. So they can say, no, he did not move. I was watching him all the time. He was sitting next to me. So relative motion of one person with respect to other person is 0. But the relative motion in respect of the policeman is actually miles away. Vary the time you wait for getting an answer. In some cases, longer waiting gives them time and opportunity. In some cases, it increases their stress and confusion. So how much you should wait for getting an answer? Sometimes you wait a bit longer and it gives them the time to think. Sometimes it only increases their confusion and agony. Think of the math phobia girl. How are the numbers arrived at? I did not wait for very long. It wouldn't help. So I said, check 1 equal to 1 into 1, 4 equal to 2 into 2, 9 equal to 3 into 3. And then now you get 49 is what? Now don't say, let the child answer. How do you get 64? Giving eventually slightly longer pause each time. Each time she was able to say the correct answer. And now you can say that x equal to n into n. Because it's 1 into 1, 2 into 2, 3 into 3. That is the square of a natural number when x equal to n into n. You can also write x equal to n square. So vary the time according to the situation. Do not assume any previous knowledge. Don't assume that they know this from the previous years. You know, that is a class 6 thing. You should know. No, there is nothing should know. There's nothing in teaching called should know when you're in the classroom with a student. There is nothing. That should word is non-existent. It is a nonsense word. It is in class 4. You should know. The child doesn't know. There's no use in saying that you should know. If the child doesn't know it, but he has been promoted to class 9. It was a class 4 thing. It was a class 5 thing. The child doesn't know. You should know. This is a meaningless thing. So x plus 1 is 10. X equal to what? However, I assume no such thing in case of my math phobia girl. Do not assume that they know this. They may know this, they may not know this. It really makes no difference. You have to pick up the concept from the beginning. Always concept from the beginning. You have to start. Start at the basic scratch, the so-called scratch we call it. Start from a scratch. Then she recollects what she had learned in the previous years. Otherwise, if you say you should know, that should is a meaningless word. Partial correct answers must not be rejected. The correct part must be appreciated. I dash waiting for 2 hours. If the student says I have instead of have been, do not reject it. Accept the partial correct answer, but then guide them to arrive at the full answer. So do not reject outright partially correct answers, accept them, encourage them to go further. Partial correct answers must be given due credit, but they should be guided further. If a student says -2 and -3 make 5, do not immediately mark it as incorrect. It is 5, then what 5 it is? Is it +5 or -5? Now ask. Ask specifically whether answer is +5 or -5. Sometimes they will say +5. Ask the reason, because probably they think that minus and minus will make plus. Then you should tell them that minus and minus make plus in case of multiplication, but not in case of addition. But when you accept and then try to put the sign, at least the child has been accepted, they gain in confidence. And also, you have given a valuable opportunity to clear a core concept that minus and minus make plus only in multiplication. That was a confusion hunting the child. And then give the number line. So give the number line. Now you can say what it is. Share extra images for videos from internet. This is what I shared actually when I was teaching digestion. The 4-chamber stomach of a cow. Although this is not in syllabus, but still the extra thing will be interesting. It is an advantage. They appreciate. The appreciation is going to make them realize the basic concept better. They're not going to be asked the 4 chambers, the description or how they work. But the extra concept is always an advantage. When you come to basic concept, a further concept, a higher concept will help you to better realize the basic concept. So the images I shared when I was teaching ruminant digestion in class 6 or 7. While discussing on indicators, I gave them these 2 YouTube channels. In fact, I sent them by WhatsApp and I asked them to watch that. The extra videos will get them over monotony. It encourages them to search for relevant videos. You encourage them, search for better and better videos, but it encourages activities. If the study becomes a bit tedious for the student, diversion helps. Diversion. Talk about their pets, talk about their meals, talk about any recent festivals, about the languages they speak at home, or any song they enjoyed in their mother tongue, and a lot of other topics. In fact, I sent the link of a Tamil song on Lord Krishna to some of my students. So sometimes even my wife participates for a minute or two. She talks to the student, she talks to the parents. Even my wife participates. So these interspersed with small talks, teaching when you are having a little bit of diversion, it leads to a stress-free ambience. Appreciation works if done in front of their parents. Often parents during and after online class ask about their wards. Genuine open appreciation, sincere positive feedback in front of parents will go a long way in boosting their confidence. Highlight every small improvement, every small virtue. And when they hear a teacher telling the parents about them, a positive thing, they believe it and they start believing in themselves. So thank you. That was our experience in teaching the so-called mediocre students. If you like the video, share and subscribe to the channel. Thank you and goodbye.